Good morning, morning, everybody. Monday, 27th of July, 8 a.m. as normal. So we've obviously had a bit of an interesting, open here. As expected, we obviously went through it, oil down 7.5%. We were targeting this area here, which is what I was expecting. Expecting, obviously, as we've had two evenings with obviously no retaliation from either, either side, that will be classed as a de-escalation. So there must be something happening for that to be agreed. So although it's not been publicized yet, from what I can see, this tells us a story. Yields also down 1%. I was expecting yields to be around this area here. They have dropped, but obviously I think we're going to finish the day now. One thing that we've got to look at here, all right, is when have the attacks been happening? All right, the attacks have been happening, nighttime. All right, so we can't really expect anything to any bad news to be happening during the day, in my opinion. We do have some news coming out a bit later on, 1:30. We've got durable goods, and then we've got some GDPs. So pretty average data. Everything is doing better month on month, but remember, this is June's data, so everyone's going to want to, and whether or not everything is being pre kind of planned for the press conference. But obviously, remember, the Federal Reserve are an independent party from the government. Trump tried to take over it. He got rejected. And so, yeah, they obviously do. They're allowed to make their own, decisions. So no data from euro, yen, Aussie, pound. All right. It's just purely US data today. All right. So because of that, all right, we've now got to paint our picture. For those of you who are completely, new here, we don't look at any charts yet. All right. The first thing we're going to do is, add up our confidences to try and see, which way we're going to trade the dollar. We're going to buy it, or are we going to sell it? All right. So, everything's kind of angling. Hopefully you will all agree is to, to sell it. All right. We've got dollar down 0.26%. We've got yields down 1%. We've got the stock market up. So obviously risk appetite is, starting to creep back in here. Remember, hedge funds and companies hedge funds make their big money from the, stock market. All right. So that's a great sign. I think, US 100 up 1.45%, US 30 up almost 1%, SPX 500 up 1%. All right. What's also interesting here is, USD JPY down 0.19. Yen is a bit mixed. All right. Yen is a bit mixed. I class it as around break even. But obviously USD is the leader. So for anyone who trades any other yen pairs, just remember that everything tends to follow it. All right, we've got obviously CAD dropping, so don't try and buy CAD because CAD is heavily linked with oil, because they hold one of the largest oil supplies in the world. So just remember that obviously today is not a day for buying CAD because oil is down 7.3%. Gold, as expected, just popping up higher, but nothing crazy. So let's, we'll wait and see what happens there. So looking at the dollar here, because trading is all about increasing your probability. All right. Is there a higher probability that, and everyone should have every 500 marked up? Is there a higher probability, right, that gold will pop down into this 101 area? Or is there a higher probability that gold is going to pop down to this 101 500? Just in the chat, what would everyone say? Put 101 or 101.5. What would everyone's expectation be before I go forward anymore? 101, 101. Anything's 101.55, like it. Yeah. I would, we've got to look, evaluating anything. All right, we've got to just obviously go with what we've got here. All right, we've got de-escalation. All right, we know that nothing happens until nighttime. We obviously had 2 evenings where there's been no bombings. Nothing. All right, so that means talks and kind of a potential agreements are in process. All right, that means dollar should technically relax. All right, there's nothing coming out until 1:30 to obviously boost this up, to 101,500. Now, I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. All right. But obviously, we as traders have to work on probabilities. Yeah. So, yes, I agree. I feel like the highest probability would be to try to sell it down to two here. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to hop in, straight away. If we look at, I mean, Asia looks slightly different, but obviously, Asia, remember, markets closed here. So, Asia's had this move here. Yeah, right, pretty big. Now, I do think that London and US trading's going to be pretty slow. I'm going to avoid AD/USD for the moment just because we're going to be buying into a hell of a lot of resistance here, and it wouldn't be the smartest play. So we'd want to be, if we're going to be buying this, we're going to want to be buying from down here. Yeah, right. And I actually think we probably will get a bit of a pull back, which is going to push dollar potentially up to about here. Then we're going to get that continuation. All right. We've then got pound here again. Trend. We've got a couple of areas we need to watch out for. Let's obviously just mark up Asia. All right, and we're going to include the gap here. So we've got Asian high and we've got Asian low. Pretty much pound retested Asian low, but we're going to put the close of Friday, which is pretty much there. All right. So do I think that pound is going to engulf the whole of Asia? No. All right. So I'm actually angling at something a little bit like this. Let's go on a 2 hour to make it a bit clearer. And all I want to do really is just target that Asian high. So if we did say 225 and 33335, something like this. All right, that is what I would be looking at here. I want this to come in here. We're going to have to go a little bit above 40 because we're allocating quite a big, move here. We're going to allocate that, we're only going to need a 20 pip, stop loss here. But I'm kind of hoping we do drag into this area and then continue to the upside. All right. That, things could change, but right now, that's the highest probability trade in my opinion. All right. So I'm not gonna put that yet because I haven't drawn anything on. So, right, I could get asked lots of times, where do I enter? What do I do? How do I do this? Obviously, first of all, it's a trade idea. But obviously greens are my TPs. So I got TP2 up here, and then I'm probably going to have TP1 probably about where it is here on the top of this here. There's a lot of resistance here. All right. This one here is our stop loss. All right. And then we've got our three potential entries here, which we'll do those in yellow. All right. So we're going to do these in yellow. There we go. Yellow. And last but not least, entry number 3, yellow. Yeah. All right. So we've got entry one, entry two, entry three. I'll just split them up a bit so it's a bit easier. We have got our overall TP here. Sorry, our overall stop loss here, and then we've got TP1 and TP2. All right. So let me now put that in. Uh, GBP USD buy trade idea. Right. Remember, these are intraday, so that's not to say, if you're scalping or, looking at a lot lower time frame that, you wouldn't look to sell because obviously every time frame that you use will obviously paint a slightly different picture. Now, euro is a slightly different one here. If we look at Asia, it's moved pretty heavy. All right, so if we look at our Asian move, sorry, it's not all the way down there. That'll be our Asia here. All right, from there to there. That's quite a hefty, move here. I'm expecting this to be retested slightly, and we've got to identify our kind of areas of where potential retests might come. We could go ultra aggressive and be here. We could go a bit less aggressive and pop down, potentially come into this kind of area here. I'd be probably I mean, I want to err on the side of caution this morning. So if I was honest with you, I'd rather my entry would be about here. All right. And yes, I know that it restricts chances of it being, being uh, tapped, but I'd rather have a nice, and safe kind of, open. How many pips is that? Safe open, than go, yeah, 20, going all out and out attack, so that's my kind of mindset here. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to have a 20 pip stop. I mean, it has moved quite a lot, so we're going to have a look at this to see what it actually looks like here. Yeah, I'd be pretty happy. It's almost just above this high here. So I'm pretty happy with this. All right, I'm pretty happy with it. So if I move these out, one, two, three, four, five, and then we will probably do gold after this because I know that everyone likes a good intraday gold trade. I mean, it doesn't really matter with this one. I'm going to go slightly higher. So that's our TB1 and TB2. Then we've got entry one, entry two, entry three, and then stops. All right. That's how I would lay out Euro. I want it to come down to tap into our area, and then continue in the direction that it's supposed to. We want to allow for a little bit of relief this morning. Buy trade idea. There we go. Right. USD JPY for anyone who wants it. If obviously yields, we know how heavily linked they are. If they continue to drop, we would expect USD JPY to continue to drop. However, I don't like where it is. If you're going to sell, I'll be selling from anywhere in this area here, and you want to probably target this area down here. All right. So that would be our two areas. But obviously, I'm not going to be trading this morning. I think it's a bit too much high risk for us. So gold, here we go on gold. Right. Asian session here. Didn't gap. So we've had what we class this. I'd say this is a pretty big Asia, right? Not huge, but obviously it means that it's got potential to pump up a bit higher, right? So we've then got to, if we're looking at this is our Asian high here, right? And then if we're looking at our Asian low, there we go. That's our Asian low here, yeah. All right. So that's kind of our mindsets here, all right? And obviously we've got to target the most recent high, right? That's the most recent high. It's not unrealistic, but obviously that is what we're kind of looking at here. Where do I want to be? Well, where do I want to be kind of buying from, and where's realistic? All right, I would say you see this area here that could get tapped into. All right, so it'd be something like this, but I want to have a look at it. So 8.5, say it's 770, something like this. We obviously need our stops below. The most important thing is our stops are below this Asian low here, because that's not going to get peaked at all. I'm going to go for something like this. I'd be pretty happy with that if we got this tap in here. We're covering because Asia's had such a big move. We know that it's unrealistic. There's a low probability that Asian low will get breached. All right, so we should be pretty, safe here. So if I claim 2, 3, 4, 5, there we go. Because we know probability wise, and I'm going to put this, I'm going to put this one here on the Asian high. That would be our TP1. So that would be that one there. Then obviously we've got entry one, which is yellow, entry two, ooh, entry two, yellow, and entry three. There we go, yellow. There we go. That's obviously how I'm, uh, setting up gold. I do believe we're going to come up and tap this area. However, I obviously want to. I just want to be kind of realistic. I want to trade it on the safer end. I don't want to go all out and trying to attack, and we obviously then get caught. We're obviously got to be realistic that there's a potential that these two might get tapped into again. But obviously we want to make sure that we're covered. And if our Asia low is here, all right. There is, yeah, like I'd said, probably a 1 in 10 chance that that's going to get hit. So that means 9 times out of 10, if this trade triggers, we're going to be absolutely fine. All right, so I'm going to put that in as well. But I am erring on the side of caution here. Yeah. So USD buy trade opportunity. Trade idea, sorry. Yeah. All right. So, you guys, should understand here. These are obviously our entries, stop loss, TP1, TP2. That's pretty much it from me. Let's go through some of these questions here. Let's go through some of these questions. 101, which is the first entry? Well, obviously, if we're going to buy, it's going to be the first one it comes to. So on here, gold, for example, it'll be 408521. You marked euro up on an 8 hour time frame. Let's go and have a look at this. 2 hour, same thing, right? Same thing. Same targets. We're targeting areas. Yeah. All right, we're just targeting areas here. We already know the direction, and this is the beauty of it. If you were on a one minute, your entries might be slightly different if you're on 5 minute, 15 minute, but the goal is always, the direction that we want to take them in. Yeah. Martin, why we have gap between 4052 and 4096? Will we see a crazy movement on gold? Let's have a look. 40. I mean, gold closed here and opened here, so we don't have a gap on gold. Um, but obviously, yeah. So yeah. Do you expect today to be a buy day? Yes. Yes, I do. So I don't expect, gold and everything. I'm expecting dollar to kind of slowly come down into to this 101. I don't think it's going to break, but I think that there is cause. This what you've got to expect with price. Lots of this price is good data. Yeah. All right. So there's been lots of good data coming out. Lots of this June, and I'll get this on a daily here. Lots of this June, you know, data or July data is good June data. All right. But obviously, some of it is escalation days data. All right. So when there's no escalation, that kind of additional hype gets taken away, and we actually come out with the correct number. And so we've got to expect that to happen. Like I said, I don't see 101 being broken today. I'm not saying it's not going to get broken this week, but I don't see it getting broken today. So, but I'm expecting it, to kind of be, yeah, to be tapped today, and then we can see what happens. Alex, what do you think is the probability for DXY to fill the opening gap? So we're on DXY here. I think it's slim. I think it's slim. So I think it's pretty slim. I reckon we're going to be looking, potentially maximum we're going to be looking, and I'm going to go for an area here. It's probably going to be here, you know. I don't think we're going to breach much higher than this one here, but let's wait and see, what happens here. So, yeah. Um, Vantage shows a gap on gold. I always trade on trading view. Different brokers will show different things. But obviously, yes, I would always, trade on trading view because it's more accurate. So yeah, right. I'm going to end this here. So yeah, I hope everyone has a great day. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, guys, if there's anything you ever want me to go through, message me, and obviously I'll add it in. And I probably will do a live on Wednesday evening. So be ready. Have a great Monday, and trade safe. And yeah, let's smash it. Have a good one, team.